We're YouTubing. We're Facebooking. The one, the only, Dr. Jeanne Zaino in the house, ladies and gentlemen. I'll tell you, we have.
Where's the camera for the YouTube?
It's right there, actually.
Oh, look at how fancy.
See,
is that a new camera?
Well, kind of, yes. And then you have a
You're
camera.
living it up.
Trust me, I'm not paying.
This is your camera here.
Oh, this is my camera. Okay.
Yeah. So when you face me, Jeannie,
Wait,
first.
if I face you, then I'm not. Oh,
No,
this
you
is
got it. You
terrible.
got it right there. Yeah, it's
So
good.
is it like when you go on TV and they're supposed to be talking to somebody, but they say don't look at them?
I know.
It's very awkward for me.
I know. And
So
then I like when they
cheat,
tell you, oh, you're on camera one. So you address camera one, but then you can't. I can never find it. Then they're blinking the lights all around. You know.
And today, when I did a hit very early this morning
wanna hear
on
about
Fox,
this. I wanna
very
hear.
early,
Yeah.
it was one of these where I was supposed to be talking to somebody on remote and then somebody in studio. But when half the time it shows me looking one way.
Yeah, I know.
Very awkward.
But you always do it. You were great you were on this weekend on Fox.
Yes, and you saw me.
I did, and I texted you.
Yes, you were very nice. Thank you very much.
Gee, you always do a great job. But tell me about what happened. You got home last night, first of all, late.
Yeah, I got home late, and then they sent a car
At
4:20.
Oh, girl, look out now.
Yeah, and when that alarm went off, I was like, "Oh my goodness gracious!"
Which did you do? Fox and Friends this morning?
I did Fox and Friends first,
which is a great show.
It's a great
show. Yeah,
show.
they do a great job.
And Rob Nelson, do I have his name correct?
Rob Schmidt.
Schmidt.
Yeah.
Is that? Yeah. Why did I say Nelson?
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
well,
Rob.
that's okay. I think that was a comedian from long ago.
Was it?
No,
I'm so old.
he's African American and works for a different network. But
Oh.
I get where you got the.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Anyways,
But Rob
yeah.
is great.
He's great. Yeah, they're very good, and I like going on there. So, and I have a former student who works behind the scenes there now.
How cool is that now?
Yes, that's my secret booking weapon. My former students.
But then
Place them at Fox,
and
then they book you.
You came down here because Fox took you here. Rumor has it.
This is big.
Rumor has it.
Frank?
She is the best.
Approved by the boss, Jeannie has a car ride home.
Look at that. Come on. It's a first. Come on now. It's a first. It's a first.
you.
We always ask for a car.
Does
Nope,
Jerry
no.
Carly know about this?
Oh, he was the only one that had the authority to approve this.
I'm so impressed.
It's easier to launch a nuclear weapon from a submarine than get us to pay for a
We
car.
got you an Uber. We couldn't get water, so that was the trade-off. So.
Or a printer that works.
It was
The
funny
printer.
because I said to Frank, I got to ride here, and, I'll just be wandering the streets afterwards.
Who walked you back, Jeannie? Come on.
You did,
Yeah,
yes.
thank you.
So thank you to Jerry.
What a
and
chore
Frank
that
and
must have
everybody.
been.
No, that was on
Really working in a coal mine there, Joe.
That was the worst day ever. But thank you for helping me. That was the worst. So so it's election
We walked
day.
around. We took a tour of Wall Street.
I was so confused.
And we couldn't find the parking garage. And then where was the garage, Al? Where was the garage? It was my
Your garage.
My
It was
garage.
your garage.
I know this garage.
Well, you're directionally
With Freddie.
challenged,
With
that's the
Freddie.
problem.
I really am.
I am the worst directionally.
I know.
I said
Last time you were here,
If
you were,
I would say to the president, he doesn't need to send troops down to the border. Just send me in charge of the caravan. I will get everybody lost. They'll end up in
America's this way. Come on.
I will get
I would
everybody
help
lost.
you.
Just
It's
put,
so true.
put me in charge of that caravan. It'll
Can't
never get to
find my
America.
way.
I said, man. Gee, so let's break down. Do you think Bob Hugan comes on
It's
momentarily?
election day.
I
Finally.
know. I know. You are the
Happy
best.
Election day.
And there is nobody better than you at this. So we appreciate it, Dr. Zaino. Bob Hugan, a great guy. He's been on the show many, many times.
Yeah, is he coming today? I saw that.
He's been in the studio. No, you know what? He comes on. Bob Menendez doesn't call.
Yeah.
He doesn't write.
Yeah.
He doesn't say, Joe, you're a Jersey guy. I can't stand you. Let me jump on the air.
Yeah,
But Mr. Hugan comes on all the time. He's going to call in a moment.
Never been on.
Who's that? Menendez?
Never.
No, nor Andrew Cuomo hasn't been on. They just don't. It's okay.
Yeah, Cuomo
Because-
doesn't do much press.
Well, only John Catsimatidis.
That's true.
So which we love. So on Mr. Hugan, do you think Bob has this Marine who's a great candidate has a chance to actually beat Bob Menendez?
Which is stunning. My understanding is New Jersey hasn't elected a Democratic senator since like 1972 or something
Clifford
outrageous.
Case we were just talking about.
I mean, that was, we were not even born yet.
Thank you.
When
God bless you, girl. God bless you.
So the idea that with an incumbent, Democrat, that Hugan has a real shot at this, and I think he does, is absolutely tremendous. And especially in a state as blue as New Jersey has been.
Well, Hudson County's tough. Bob Hugan is from Hudson County, but the way Bob Menendez has, he is entrenched. And then I don't mean
and
this.
you, of all people, know the party power there.
Oh, man, it is like...
You got to break that
They
party
talk about
power.
Chicago politics.
Yeah.
They talk about Camden County. No, Hudson County is rough, and Menendez is rough. He's a fighter, whether you like him or not. He's a fighter. But
is a
when I
fighter.
talk to Bob Hugan about that, he goes, "Yeah, he's a wuss. I'm a Marine. I can
He's
beat
a
this guy."
Marine.
But you don't know that he could very... I can't get a handle on him. Usually I have good instincts on this. I'm thinking that Hugan could sneak through, but do you think Menendez is just too entrenched, with the powers that be? Because in New Jersey, Gene, I can't talk to my independent friends. They all vote Democrat blindly. If they all just said that we're going to raise, and they did. Governor Murphy goes, "I'm going to raise your taxes by billions of dollars." They still voted for her.
No, it's very tough. And Menendez is tough, as you mentioned. He knows the system and he knows New Jersey, and so it's a tough race. But if anybody can do it, Hugan, I think, has run a really strong campaign.
Sure has.
Nobody expected when this thing started that it was going to be New Jersey as a toss-up, as a sort of, a question mark, was something nobody expected.
Professor, what are you doing? Quinnipiac comes out just yesterday, and they go, "Oh, Bob Menendez is ahead of Bob Hugan by 15 points." And then there's another poll that comes out, it's 1 point. How do you trust these polls?
Very, very tough. The best polls are the ones we don't see, the internal polls done by the candidates and the campaigns and the parties themselves, because they are tough on themselves.
And that's showing dead
heat.
heat. From what I hear,
and
it shows...
those are showing that it's a toss-up.
Wow.
And that's,
Wow.
So, but, it's the public polls are very good. Quinnipiac is a great organization, but the polls are all over the place, which tells you that when you look at it in, you look at it in concert, that it is really, truly a toss-up. And so it could go either way. Again, it's going to depend an awful lot on turnout. And with the weather, that dampens turnout to a certain extent. So people have to get out and vote.
And run us through why we could use your expertise on the New York races. Mark Molinaro ran as well, a great campaign. He has really dramatically reduced, his percentage in the Governor Cuomo's lead. And Governor Cuomo, does, like I said, he doesn't call, but is it a possibility that Molinaro could just close that gap? In New York's one thing, but maybe through the rest of New York State, they'll pick Molinaro over Cuomo.
They might. It was around Albany, I think, where Cynthia Nixon was ahead. Was that true, Frank? Where Cynthia Nixon was ahead of the governor in the primary. So he is vulnerable. Third term's very, very tough. And when I interviewed Molinaro, I asked him if he was going to be the next Pataki. And so
we just talked about exactly that.
And so
he was with the Governor Pataki yesterday. Yeah.
I mean, so he's a very attractive. I don't know. It's amazing to me. 19, he was the youngest mayor elected in the country at 19.
Mark Molinaro.
Molinaro.
Yeah.
He's a really attractive candidate.
Yep.
Does a really good job. He's got a bright future.
You're right.
This is a tough race because this state is so blue at this point.
And help me out here. Love Dan Donovan. Love Congressman Donovan. We are immense fans of Congressman Peter King. As a professor of political science at Iona College.
I'm a big fan of King.
Now, he's done so
We
much.
never spend any time together, so you tell him that. I'm a big fan of Peter King.
I will. I mean, and Lee Zeldin, this is a trifecta of some great, true bipartisan public servants. Yet, are they at risk here? I mean,
Zeldin may be a little more. I don't think King is really at risk at all. I think Donovan is going to pull it out. I really do. I don't know if you agree with that, Frank. I think Donovan is going to pull it out.
I think he wins handily.
I think he wins. Zeldin may be vulnerable, but I think he'll pull it out. But I think people forget. So 39 races across the country this year. There is no opponent on the other side, no challenger. 6 of those are in New York, all Democrats.
Wow.
And so we could, we run the danger of turning into a one-party state, which does nobody any good. Because when you have a one-party district or a one-party state, voters don't have a choice.
Yeah.
And so that's a real problem here. So if you don't retain people like King or people like Zeldin or people like Donovan, the Republicans are, almost non-existent in a state like New York, which means that we don't have the benefit of having opposing sides, of having a real choice. Very little attention is paid to the state because there's no contest.
And you got some good candidates, and we'll go to break, Al. I know, but Shell Farley doing a great job. Shell's coming on the show in a little while, too. And I don't want to say, I'm just going after Republicans, but I do like, conservatives. But now Shell against Gillibrand. Gillibrand's so off the rails. I don't know her. Maybe she's a nice gal, but she's so off the rails. She goes with the Me Too movement. And as a woman, excuse me, last year, pictures with Feinstein. She's with Bill Clinton all the time. Now all of a sudden she's head of the Me Too movement in New York State. I'm not buying any of that. How does Shell Farley close that gap?
Very tough for Shel Farley at this point. I think, Chris and Gillibrand even walked away from one of the debates, postponed it. It's one of these things where there's almost no contest there. I think it's really tough for her, unfortunately. But I do think that there may be some, I think, upcoming tension if both Gillibrand and Cuomo win, which they are likely to do, perhaps, because I think they both think of themselves as potential 2020 candidates. And
unbelievable.
Can you imagine how the tension is going to be between the two?
I know. Yeah, you're right, because they'll be going for the same prize.
Yeah.
And can you stick around a little bit, you think?
Yes, I can.
You sure?
I've got a ride home.
Are you...
As soon as you're ready, all you have to do is
Thank you,
snap.
Mr. Crowley.
This is so
You're
exciting,
going
Jerry
back to see your son.
Yes.
God bless you. And then you're coming back in the city.
Yes.
Look at you, girl.
Look at me. It's election day.
When we come back, we're going to go to Al with the news, and then Bob Hugin's going to join us. But I wanted to ask you about Florida. I wanted to ask you about what's happening in the Senate race. There's a lot going on.
And for Frank, I got to give a shout out to the Reform Party.
Yeah, he's all over it this morning.
Yeah, I mean, I got to tell. Well, I'll tell you when you come back.
Okay.
Jeanne
Zaino, Professor Dr. Zaino with us. She's going to stay with us a little bit because it's all about politics this morning. Don't forget, go out and vote. You could take time. Your boss will let you go out and vote. And Bob Hugin.
If your boss is as nice as Jerry Crowley, he'll get you a car.
Look at that. Now you know. You got a car anytime, girl. Hey, Bob Hugin coming up momentarily right now. Big Al Gattulo standing by with the headline news on AM 970.